I tried to stay as unbiased as I can, but I know that, through the conversation, it's probably going to like leak through and be like, I mean, it's black and white here. Like this seems like it is the definite winner. But I do think there were things that I learned because I've had my single family home for, I don't know, I think it's been maybe 5 or 6 years. And it's an easy way to start. So I guess I'd rather have somebody kind of, be a little apprehensive on trying to dive into multifamily because it's probably just a mental hurdle anyway. But if they can get started and take some action steps on getting a single family rental, and then you kind of, just learning by doing, like they'll realize once they're doing maintenance on the property or, there's one roof for that one door.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us to another amazing episode. Today we have Nate Ohlrich. He's in Nebraska. He's a real estate broker, and he has a passion. He's been a real estate investor for a little bit over 7 years. He has a passion for teaching people and helping people invest in real estate investing, commercial real estate investing. And I don't know if I said it already, but he's located in Nebraska. And he also wrote a book and has a bunch of actionable steps that he wants to talk about in this episode today. So Nate, if you do us a favor, man, tell us a little bit about you.
You bet. Thanks for having me on the show, German. I appreciate it. Sure. So I guess I'll start back. I was a franchisee for nutrition store. Me and a partner had 8 stores in the Midwest. And I really started getting interested in real estate at that time because I was a tenant in multiple, retail strip centers, and I was paying each landlord quite a bit of money, monthly. And as far as me, growing up and wanting to be successful, I was raised, I would say, just kind of a typical middle-class upbringing. And I didn't really think about, landlords, landowners, and how great that is to position yourself to be able to make income like that. And so it just kind of dawned on me at that time that I should be investigating real estate in different ways that I'd be able to make money while I did own those nutrition stores. And I guess my first investment was in 2013. It was a retail building. I still own that right now. And I wanted to do more, but I didn't really actually know like the next steps that I should be taking. And I just knew I needed to educate myself more. So I went from a journey of thinking I would own a lot of retail real estate to I'm going to buy some single family houses and just scale from there. It seems like that's a pretty common story, fix and flip or BRRRR or something like that. And I do have one single family house that I have as a rental, and I started contacting executors of probate estates, trying to find some deals that maybe I'd be able to get slightly less than market value. And I walked through quite a few of those, made some offers. Nothing really stuck though. And it was awkward conversations because, the people were in a difficult situation, and normal rental single family homes on the market, they were just too, priced too expensive for the numbers to work. And so I guess that just led me to, as I was listening to more podcasts, reading more books, I was listening to one of the more popular podcasts, and somebody in the town where I live, Omaha, was a guest on this podcast, and listened to the whole show a couple times, I think. And then I reached out to him and I'm like, hey man, like, you've had great success. I'd like to learn from you. Can we do a coffee or meet up or whatever? And he actually ran a local meetup here in town. And so he suggested that I go to the meetup because there's going to be other investors. And I think I just needed that suggestion to kind of spark me into action. So I ended up going to the meetup, met a lot of great people. And this gentleman, I've partnered with him and another guy on, it's been like 5 or 6 different deals. I've done different partnerships, kind of JV type of situation, and then I've also invested as an LP, and now I am helping GPs raise money and do due diligence and asset management and that sort of thing, and basically just helping my friends, family, and other people learn about passive investing and how great it is and the tax advantages, and kind of, imparting on them my stories and how it's been great for me, and how I can help them achieve financial goals. Cause I really believe that it's one of the best ways that you can grow your wealth.
Let me ask you something, Nate. Before we started the show, you mentioned something because you're a broker,
Right.
and you mentioned commission based, right?
Right.
Uh, and so my impression when I hear a broker saying that, I'm guessing you don't do brokerage full time. Am I correct?
I've started going down the path of, and we were talking about this, where I'm doing more of the capital raising and helping people passive invest. And I do some brokerage on the side. I would say it's kind of half and half right now, but going forward, it'll probably take up, less hours on my schedule. But I feel it's just another way that I'm able to help people if they have real estate problems, that I can help them solve.
So can you mention some of that? Because I mean, and you hear all the time people ask, or if you are a member of the forums or groups on Facebook and other forums that you find about real estate investors, a lot of
Right.
the questions is like, do I need a license? Is a license, well, we know that a license is not required, but does it add any value to what you want to do as a real estate investor? Does it give you an advantage?
I thought it would. That's why I got it. And that's why I went through the work and the trouble to get it. And I think it's worth it because, I mean, you're going to have more reps at, if you're helping other people make offers or if you're doing offers on your own, and just getting, around the business and learning how things work. It's definitely doable without it. I think it's just another tool, when you talk to people and figure out what their financial goals are. Some people really want to have the 100% control, type of situation, which, and actually I started like that too. I thought, I wanted to have, you know, all the opportunity. If something was wrong, I'd be able to go in there and fix it. And I've really learned that, partnering with people, you have to find people that you can trust and your interests are aligned with. But to really scale, you really need to find partners, and you can achieve so much more together. But yeah, so if there are people that do need help, or if they would want to buy a building, 100% outright, then I have that option.
That's awesome, man. And one of the questions I told you before, I wanna get my broker's license.
Right.
I don't know what doors it will open, but that's more of a personal question. The So explain to us, because you said that you help your family and you help friends and other people, um, and teach them how to invest in real estate investing. You also have a book. Um, can you tell us how you help people and how you teach them, how you explain real estate investing, and can you tell us about the book as well?
Sure. And so the book is titled Fearless Investing. You can get it at my website, redelminvesting.com. And then also, before I forget, I just released, it's a little checklist. It's 11 questions that you should be asking as a real estate investor. And there's questions for yourself as well as for the sponsor or whatever team is leading the deal. And it's relevant to during pandemic and post-pandemic times where, things kind of got thrown out of whack and maybe some assumptions aren't the same anymore. So just kind of some questions you should be thinking about. I really just try to ask people what their financial goals are and how much time and or money they have to commit to growing their wealth, because ultimately that's what they're after. And if they do have more time than money, then you know I feel like some people might think that's going to be an obstacle and make it harder for them to achieve their goals, where it really, I mean, you have to want it, obviously, and you have to have that desire, but depending on your resources, you can go and kind of, bird dog deals. And if you're able to find deals that end up closing, somebody's going to pay you money for it. And that can, happen with no money spent, or, just by networking. And, I mean, I've done some of those things too, where if you're sending out direct mail, or, kind of doing campaigns to find properties. So there's either that, or if you want more of a hands-off approach, and I really feel on a risk-adjusted basis, doing the passive investing route with multifamily properties is really, one of the best ways. And even through the pandemic, I feel like if another pandemic is going to rear its ugly head and do what it did to the world, I think the government is going to step in, and it's either going to help the landlord or the tenant, because, those gears need to keep turning. The economy needs to keep working. And so there's going to be some sort of assistance. Whereas, well, I guess with retail too, that maybe some of that there, but it just seems like no matter what happens, there's going to be a way to figure it out, and you aren't going to, lose your property, lose money. Maybe it'll break even or something, but I think there's always a way to work through the problems. And so, yeah, basically just figuring out when I'm talking to my friends or family that want to invest, what's most important to them. And typically the common answers are, well, I want to get all the great benefits of real estate. And as you know, I'm sure too, German, the tax advantages, and you're leveraging people's experience and their credit and all these other things. And all you're doing is checking your bank account, or, reading the quarterly reports, which is a good way to learn too. Even if you do have ultimate dreams of, I want to put these deals together or something like that, just being able to be a part of a deal and seeing how everything works is a great education.
When you educate your friends and family, do you go, because right now you're a commercial real estate investor, correct? Do you, and you only have one single family property? I think that's what you said before, right?
For single family, yes, I have that. And then I have a retail property. And then kind of it's a variety. I have about 1,000 doors in between syndicated projects, and just like I'm partnered with other guys here.
So when you're talking to people, do you try to steer them towards commercial real estate properties versus, for example, single family homes or residential real estate, um, due to the fact that we know the benefits and the differences on managing it, tax benefits, force appreciation, and all that stuff? Or do you just, depending on what they say, you just put the blanket out for, hey, this is what's available, this is what you can do, and then help them out, further their experience?
I tried to stay as unbiased as I can, but I know that, through the conversation, it's probably going to like leak through and be like, I mean, it's black and white here. Like this seems like it is the definite winner. But I do think there were things that I learned, because I've had my single family home for, I don't know, I think it's been maybe 5 or 6 years. And it's an easy way to start. So I guess I'd rather have somebody kind of, be a little apprehensive on trying to dive into multifamily, because it's probably just a mental hurdle anyway. But if they can get started and, take some action steps on getting a single family rental, and then you kind of, just learning by doing, like they'll realize once they're doing maintenance on the property, or, there's one roof for that one door, or, different things that when you scale up bigger, it just makes more sense. So, and sometimes you can kind of nod your head and be like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but until you live it, they don't really understand. But yeah, I try to give them a unbiased, view of both, and tell them my experiences that I've had with both, and kind of let them make that judgment. But I probably do steer them a little bit.
That's pretty cool, man. So
Yeah.
can you give us some actionable steps that you provide to the people that you help?
Yeah. And I just look back to my journey on what I think kind of the most important steps were. The first two, maybe one and the same, is just figuring out your goals and figuring out your why. And well, I guess I'll run through all of them first, and then I'll kind of touch on why, what mine are. Goals and why, and then you need to educate yourself, and then start networking with other investors, brokers, other people in the business, and then you need to take action. And so, kind of going back to my story and what helped me just stay motivated and propel me forward was in 2018, we were kind of put in a position where I knew my nutrition stores, me and my business partner, we needed to sell sometime, and that was kind of the best time to sell. Excuse me. And then also I had a daughter in 2016. So I have three kids, two boys, 9 and 7, then my daughter's 4. And my daughter was born with a genetic disease where she has seizures. And so we've been down to Houston a few times, Children's Hospital. She's had 2 different brain surgeries. She's on meds. She'll need lifelong care. She's a special needs kid. And so with that, my wife is unable to work because she is on the phone with doctors, and my daughter has a lot of therapists and things like that.
She takes care of the home.
Yeah. Yep. Stay at home mom. And my daughter goes to preschool and everything. And she's made huge steps, but for our family, no one ever plans, for that. And so it was kind of a shock to our system, and we're rolling with the punches and trying to make the best of it. But it really put me in a position where I'm the breadwinner. I need to be as smart as I can and make the, best decisions. And if I'm able to generate income and not actually have to trade my time and, energy for it, then that seems like a really smart thing to do. So that really propelled me to, stay vigilant on learning as much as I could, as fast as I could, and diving, headfirst into the multifamily space and figuring out the best way to make money. And that kind of also led me to getting my license to be a broker. I also did property management for commercial buildings for about 9 months. I learned a lot there too, but then really going back to those 5 steps, like your goals and your why. Well, my why is for my family, I provide for them.
Right.
And then goals is to, keep adding other passive income streams through real estate, and then help other people invest and help them, realize their goals, and then educate themselves and network, because without like the education and networking component, you're probably not going to have that confidence to take action. And so just, running through those kind of 5 steps, and you can't really, skip any of them because they're all important. And then sharing my stories that, that kind of relate to those. And then figuring out, do they have more time or money, and then kind of what route works best for them.
Exactly. No, I'm with you, man. I mean, you gotta build a toolbox, and like you said, you cannot skip the steps, and
Right.
you have to sometimes doing it simultaneously, where you're educating yourself, you're networking, and you're doing all this stuff at the same time. And when you get to the level where you are right now, the story is very compelling, because that's when people are gonna relate to you, and people are gonna start making excuses because they're gonna hear your story. You made it happen, right? Like everybody else has problems, and sometimes our problems, or somebody might have a problem that is not as well, they're significant, but they're not might be as probably compelling as yours, right? And that's when you realize it's like, well, if he could make it, right, then my problem is not as big as his. Let me make it. So at that time, your story becomes inspirational. So that's pretty amazing, man. That's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
amazing.
thanks. And yeah, I mean, and I'm not, saying I'm special. I'm sure there's other people that
No,
have,
yeah,
very similar situations, or, different dynamics. But I really feel, it all comes down to, nothing is going to be handed to you. You have to work for it. And, that's kind of, I feel like the reason we're on the earth here is, the thrill of victory, and working hard for something, and feeling good about it, and providing for your family. That's what I'm about, and that's what I'm living.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
So I was reading your bio. The interest for real estate is starting in college. So that means that you went to college and you were basically like most people in college. You know, you're just making meets and
Yeah.
uh, and so you had nothing. You educated yourself, right? You became a broker. You had your own business. You had to sell it in 2019.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully, and I'm guessing that was a good moment when you sold it.
It was, yeah, we were able to do
Yeah.
okay. And I guess actually, if we want to go back even a few
Yeah.
chapters, and I know you and your brother are in the military. So I was actually in the Air Force National Guard for about 10 years, and
Okay.
I did that to pay for my college. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it was a good time. GI
Yeah.
Bill, and got to travel a little bit and all that.
It was GI Bill, but it doesn't. For people to picture that, it's like you didn't come from money.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to make people realize. It's like, well, yeah, you did the military. Probably college was free, right? Because we don't pay for education,
yeah,
but we don't get paid that much either, uh,
right.
right? So
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, we're wealthy and we came in and we did college and that's it. No, you actually, like I said, you went to college, you joined the military,
Mm.
you educated yourself, you grounded, and you had your own business, you sold your business. Now, the capital of that business, is that what you used to invest in real estate?
It was. And then since then, I've also, when we're talking about more time or money, I've also, done prospecting and marketing to find deals. And then I've been able to, work it. So I didn't have to bring as much capital, or there was, fees there where I could invest and not really have to come out of pocket.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you say you invested in over 1,000 doors.
Yeah, just under 1,000 multifamily doors right now, and I guess the current project that I'm helping raise for, and I'm investing in personally, and some of my clients and friends, family are. It's a 203 unit property in a state adjacent to where I live, and
Okay.
it's going to be a good one. And I guess just kind of real brief on that. The way the deals that I invest are in. Normally there's a refinance 2, 3, 4 years in, depending on how large the property is. And, you're getting cash flow before the refi and after the refi, and hopefully enough value is added. So you're getting, most or all of your money back. And, when I tell people about that, where, you can put a chunk in and it can't be something that you need right away, but if you're able to, make it for a few years, and you're still going to get cash flow from it. And then at that refi point, if you're going to get most of all of it back, then, well, for me personally, I just put in another deal. But, if you need it, then you can use it for life expenses, or whatever, you
Yeah.
have. But I just feel like that's such an awesome way to grow. But in finding those properties too, you have to be selective, and finding deals right now is pretty hard. But after you start running numbers and doing that sort of stuff, and doing the networking and education piece that we've been talking about, it comes to you.
What is your in most of the deals that you've invested where you've been active? What is your role in the deal?
um Most of them have been passive. When I am active, it's either helping with due diligence, and getting things kind of pre-acquisition. On this next deal, I will be like helping co-asset manage it, basically managing the managers. There's another property management team that is doing the management. Doing that, and then just helping update the investors of what's happening, and are we on track, that sort of thing.
And you also say you raise capital, correct?
Right. Yep.
Okay. Mostly accredited investors, non-accredited investors. Just for the audience, we have a lot of non-accredited. I don't know if they'd be interested.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mix of both. And there are, once you start looking, I feel like sometimes if you don't know where to look, you might not think that many syndicators, or these types of deals are out there. But then once you start talking to people or know where to look, there are quite a few, and some of them, have minimums at 25 grand. Normally they're 50 grand, but I feel like you should kind of set yourself a goal for yourself where, kind of do your day job or do whatever it takes to generate some income. And then you need to take that money and put it to work somewhere else where you're not, having to devote time and energy to it. And that's still what I do in my personal life, is where I'm, generating income, and then I'm putting that into passive investments. So I don't have to think about it. But now, just the addition of I'm helping actually manage those assets as well, because that's kind of my next chapter. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. And that's a great advice, because we hear and we see more and more on social media. It's like, quit your job. It's like, go be an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and it's not for everybody. Am I right? I mean, it's hard. It's hard work, and the W-2. I mean, if you know how to manage that money, that income that you're getting, and investing it somewhere else, eventually you can actually step out of your W-2. But it's also important, like you say, build that capital and make that the income work for you,
Mm-hmm.
and make it grow. So that's a great advice, man.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your book, man.
So it's called Fearless Investing, and it just kind of, it gives some of my background that we kind of talked about already, and then just different things to look out for, when you're investing. It is more focused on if you would be a passive investor, where the three things you can really control are, the sponsor, the leadership team that is going to be implementing the business plan, the market, is it in a growth market, or, where it's located. I feel like the Midwest, where I'm located and where a lot of the deals that I participate in, there's less kind of volatility there. So I feel more confident, and it's just more familiar, and maybe, that's not for everybody, but that, and then the deal itself, do the numbers make sense, and are the assumptions or the business plan that they've laid out, does it seem possible, or, are you the first syndicator or real estate investor going in there trying to add value and, achieve rents that are logical and achievable. So just thinking about those things, and really thinking about it as, when you are a passive investor, it's not like you don't have control, because you can control. I mean, you're the one that puts the money in, or you don't, and you get to pick the deal, the market, and the operator. So just remembering those things, and helping you make the best decisions so you can invest fearlessly. Yeah.
So you Midwest, right? That's most of the markets that you invest in.
Right. Yeah. Nebraska. So like the main markets that we look at are Sioux Falls, Des Moines, Omaha, which is where I live. Lincoln's about an hour west of here. Kansas City's about 2.5, 3 hours to the southeast of us. Those, and then we're kind of going a little bit south to Tulsa, some places in Texas, but mainly in the Midwest, kind of, central.
And what asset class?
Multifamily.
Yeah, but I'm saying A, B, C,
Oh,
D's.
yeah. Mostly C, C plus, hopefully B, but most of end up being C's that we're trying to, turn into a C plus or a B minus.
Okay, cool. That's awesome, man. Now,
Yeah.
last question, man, because I know you're busy, and I know it's getting late out there too.
Yeah.
So how long you been married, if you don't mind asking me?
It will be coming up on 11 years.
Okay, so you were married before you got interested in real estate.
Right.
Was your wife in when your mind shifted and it's like, well, I want to become a real estate investor?
Great question. Well, I remember like just having conversations with her, and it used to be the questions of, and because I wasn't that knowledgeable at the time, it was kind of like, are you going to stick to this? Is this just something that it's kind of a fad, or, what are you really doing here? And I think since I stuck with it long enough, and then, it's really consumed my life, as I'm sure it's consumed yours, German, where, you just, it's so fun and it's a game and you want to
Yeah.
win, and there's strategy to it. So, it's just so kind of addicting. Now I'm at a place where she trusts me, and if I say, hey, we're going to be investing in this, and she just kind of rolls her eyes and she's like, I trust you, you know what you're doing. So I guess I feel like I really just wore her down. And
Yeah.
but I had to kind of study up for it and make sure I wasn't, because the last thing you want is to lose any of your money. So, preserving what we have and all that.
That's awesome, man. Last question, man. How do you, well, actually, I got two more. But yeah, second to last is in regards to family. How do you
Yeah.
balance that, the W-2 investing? Because it takes a lot of work to do all the due diligence, networking, all the meetups. I mean, it takes a lot of energy and work. How do you manage in the W-2 investing in family?
I really have to plan out my day and have as many systems, sort of set out for me that I can, because otherwise, and even throwing in kind of another monkey wrench in the whole situation is working from home. And so, like when lockdowns happened last March, my two boys are home and my wife's trying to homeschool them, doing the remote learning thing. And then my daughter's home and then I'm trying to work, and, there's just noise. And I'm sure everybody has a, very similar song they're singing. So you just have to, well, like for the work environment, you have to have your own workspace where they know that you can't be interrupted, but just having, as much structure as you can, because if you try to like free form it and say, I'm going to try to get all this stuff done, something comes up and it never really happens. So kind of like time blocking, I don't do a to-do list, or if I do a to-do list, I'll convert that, and put it times on my calendar. So I know I have to get it done at that time. But really, yeah, just planning, I would say.
Nice. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
And this is the last question, man. Where can people find more about you? Where can they contact you if they want to invest with you, or any help, or about your book? Tell us all about it, man.
Absolutely, German. So to download my new guide, 11 questions every investor should ask during and after a pandemic, you can go to redelminvesting.com/free report. So that's redelm, REDELM investing.com. That's the homepage, and then /free report if you want to get that. I'm on LinkedIn too. Otherwise, yeah, just check out my website. I really think people will get a lot of value on that report because I kind of relate each question to a real life experience that I've had and why it's important.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I really appreciate your time, man. And I really relate to your story, with family. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of sacrifice as well. And I mean, you're doing great, man. I'm pretty sure your kids and your wife are very proud of you. All you're doing for them, and it will pay off. And it seems like it's paying off, man, because you're giving back to your friends and family, and that sometimes is more valuable than all the money that you make.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, yep. And it's working. I'm having fun. And thanks for having me on the show, German.
That's great, man. So I really appreciate it. For all the listeners and viewers, please give us some love, some comments, some 5-star reviews. Contact Nate and ask him questions. Read his book, download his book and his the checklist, so you can learn more about real estate investing. And until then, peace out.